The dim glow of candlelight flickered across the polished mahogany table, casting elongated shadows that danced like secrets on the walls of the old Venetian palazzo. A faint scent of aged leather and rosemary lingered in the air, mingling with the distant murmur of canal water lapping against stone. He sat there, fingers tracing the rim of a crystal goblet filled with deep red wine, his eyes fixed on the woman across from him. She laughed softly at something he said, her voice a melody that cut through the quiet hum of conversation around them. But her gaze held a flicker of uncertainty, like a flame caught in a draft. He leaned in just a fraction, his words low and measured, weaving a thread she couldn't quite see but felt pulling at her thoughts. The night unfolded slowly, each moment layered with unspoken intent, until she found herself nodding along, her defenses softening without her even noticing the shift. What was it about this encounter that made her question everything she thought she knew? The answer lay hidden in the art of subtle command, a game as old as power itself. As the evening deepened, the room seemed to close in, the air growing thicker with the weight of anticipation. Her hand rested lightly on the tablecloth, fingers idly twisting a napkin, while he watched the way her posture changed, shoulders relaxing, eyes lingering a second longer on his face. Outside, the fog rolled in from the lagoon, muffling the sounds of gondolas gliding past. But inside, the tension built like a storm on the horizon. He spoke of forgotten histories, tales of princes and courtiers who bent the will of empires with nothing but whispers, and she leaned forward, drawn into the web without realizing the strands were already tightening. A contradiction simmered beneath the surface. She, independent and sharp-witted, now hanging on his every pause, her laughter more genuine, her questions probing deeper into his world. The wine tasted richer on her tongue, the candle flames brighter, as if the very atmosphere conspired to heighten her senses. He didn't rush. Instead, he let the silence speak, allowing her mind to fill the gaps with her own curiosities, her own desires mirroring back what he subtly planted. The palazzo's walls, adorned with faded frescoes of triumphant battles and veiled intrigues, seemed to echo the unfolding drama. She shifted in her seat, crossing her legs, the silk of her dress whispering against the chair, and he noted the subtle flush on her cheeks, not from the wine alone, but from the electric charge in the air between them. What mystery wrapped this man? He appeared ordinary at first glance, yet his presence commanded the space, turning heads without effort. A servant passed by, refilling their glasses with a bow, but neither acknowledged it. Their focus was locked, a silent duel where words were weapons disguised as compliments. She asked about his travels, and he answered with stories that painted vivid pictures, sun-scorched deserts where alliances were forged in the dead of night, rainy streets in distant cities where loyalties shifted like shadows. Each tale carried an undercurrent, a lesson veiled in narrative, making her feel as though she were unraveling a puzzle designed just for her. The contradiction deepened. Why did this conversation feel so intimate, so revealing, when they had only met hours ago? Her heart quickened, not with alarm, but with an inexplicable pull, as if he held the key to secrets she didn't know she craved. Deeper into the night, the candles burned lower, their wax pooling like unspoken confessions. The scent of rosemary grew stronger, perhaps from the herbs scattered on the hearth, blending with the faint perfume she wore, jasmine and something earthier, grounding. He reached for a book on the side table, an ancient volume bound in cracked leather, flipping to a page marked with a ribbon. Reading aloud in a voice smooth as velvet, he shared passages that spoke of human nature's hidden levers, of how fortunes rise and fall on the tides of influence. She listened, her breath steady, but her mind racing, piecing together how these old words resonated with her own life, the ambitions she harbored, the walls she built. A mystery unfolded. Was this mere chance, or had he orchestrated the evening to mirror her innermost thoughts? The room's shadows lengthened, swallowing the edges of furniture, while the canal's water slapped rhythmically outside, a heartbeat to their exchange. He paused, letting the words hang, and in that void, she filled it with her own revelations, sharing fragments of her past she rarely voiced. The power shifted imperceptibly. her guard lowering as his presence grew. A contradiction in her poise, she, who prided herself on control, now surrendering it willingly. As midnight approached, the palazzo felt alive with the ghosts of past intrigues, the air humming with possibility. Her eyes sparkled under the dim light, reflecting the flames, while he maintained his composure, a mask of calm that hid the calculations beneath. The wine's warmth spread through her veins, loosening tongues and thoughts alike, and he steered the conversation with deft touches, a question here, a nod there, drawing her deeper into his orbit. What was his enigma? He spoke of betrayals averted through cunning foresight, of love's won not by force but by understanding the heart's vulnerabilities, and she found herself agreeing, her perspectives aligning with his as if by magic. The sensory details sharpened, the cool touch of the goblet against her palm, the faint creak of wood as she leaned back, the distant toll of a bell marking the hour. Contradiction bloomed fully now, independence clashing with the allure of submission, curiosity battling caution. He smiled faintly, knowing the hook was set, the mystery pulling her inexorably forward into a world where influence reigned supreme. The narrative wove on, the woman's laughter echoing softer now, laced with intrigue. He described a long-ago court where a single glance could topple thrones, and she visualized it vividly, the opulent halls, the scheming nobles, the women who navigated power with grace and guile. Her fingers drummed lightly on the table, a rhythm matching her quickening pulse as the rosemary's aroma intensified, perhaps from a breeze slipping through a cracked window. Mystery layered upon mystery. Why did his stories feel so personal, as if tailored to her soul? The shadows played tricks, making his features sharper, more commanding, while the canal's waters whispered secrets of their own. She confided in him about dreams deferred, ambitions thwarted by circumstance, and he listened with an intensity that made her feel seen, truly seen, for the first time. Contradiction resolved into harmony, her strength not diminished, but enhanced by this connection, or so it seemed. The night pressed on, the candles guttering, but the bond strengthened, forged in the crucible of subtle mastery. Finally, as the first hints of dawn crept through the shutters, tinting the room in pale gray, she realized the hours had slipped away like sand. The wine sat forgotten, the air cooler now carrying the salty tongue of the lagoon. He closed the book with a soft thud, his eyes meeting hers in a gaze that held volumes unspoken. The mystery lingered, a promise of more to come. While the contradiction faded, she no longer questioned the pull, only embraced it. This was the art, the forbidden dance of minds, where influence bloomed not from overt force, but from the shadows of understanding. Shifting seamlessly from that shadowed palazzo, let's delve into the core of what made that encounter so potent, the Machiavellian strategies that underpin true influence over the female psyche. Niccolo Machiavelli, that cunning Florentine thinker, didn't just write about princes and politics. His principles ripple into the personal realm, especially when it comes to navigating the intricate landscape of women's emotions and thoughts. Think of it as a chess game where every move anticipates her response, not through brute force, but through calculated subtlety. One foundational tactic is the art of appearing virtuous while pursuing your ends. In relationships, this translates to projecting an image of reliability and depth, even as you steer the dynamic toward your favor. Women often seek emotional security, a harbor in the storm of life. So by embodying that through consistent actions laced with mystery, you plant seeds of trust that grow into dependence. But it's not just about facade. It's about understanding the psychology at play. Women's minds are wired for connection, for narratives that resonate on a visceral level. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the bold. Yet boldness here isn't aggression. It's the daring to listen deeply, to mirror her desires back at her in ways that make her feel uniquely understood. Imagine deploying flattery not as empty praise, but as a mirror reflecting her best self, amplified. This taps into the ego's soft spot, where validation becomes addictive. Layer in scarcity. Make your presence felt. Then withdraw just enough to create longing. The female brain, rich in empathy circuits, responds powerfully to emotional highs and lows. turning absence into a magnet that pulls her closer. Diving deeper, emotional domination emerges as a key pillar. It's about controlling the narrative without her sensing the reins. Start with empathy as your weapon probe, her vulnerabilities gently, offering solutions that position you as the indispensable guide. Machiavelli's advice on alliances applies here. Form bonds that benefit you, but make them seem mutual. In practice, this means sharing vulnerabilities of your own, calibrated to elicit her protective instincts, binding her emotionally. The rhythm builds, compliments interspersed with challenges, keeping her off balance, her mind engaged in decoding you. This immersion pulls her into a psychological vortex where her thoughts orbit yours, her decisions influenced by the gravitational pull of your crafted persona. Social tactics amplify this further. Surround yourself with an aura of status subtle signals like confident body language or anecdotes of influence that trigger her social proof instincts. Women, evolutionarily attuned to providers and leaders, gravitate toward perceived alpha traits. Use triangulation, mention other interests casually, sparking competition without overt jealousy. This Machiavellian ploy leverages her innate drive to secure what might slip away, intensifying attraction, fluidly weaving reciprocity, small favors that obligate her subtly, building a web of obligation masked as affection. As we progress, consider the interplay of power dynamics. Machiavelli warned against revealing all your cards. Similarly, maintain an air of enigma. Share enough to intrigue, withhold enough to obsess. The female psyche thrives on mystery, filling blanks with idealized projections. Heighten this with sensory anchors, scents, touches, environments that associate pleasure with you. Psychologically, this conditions her responses, making your influence Pavlovian. Domination isn't overt control. It's guiding her choices so they align with yours, her autonomy and illusion she cherishes. Building on that, let's explore how these tactics manifest in everyday scenarios. Take a casual date. Instead of dominating conversation, ask questions that reveal her fears and dreams, then frame your responses to position yourself as the key to unlocking them. This psychological immersion creates a bond where she sees you as confident and catalyst. Emotional highs follow, surprise her with gestures that hit her core values, then pull back to let anticipation brew. Socially, integrate her into your circle strategically, making her feel part of something elite. Her loyalty cemented through inclusion. The narrative flows into deeper waters tactics for long-term influence. Machiavelli's fortress metaphor applies. Build emotional walls around her, where you're the gatekeeper. Use intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable rewards that keep her hooked, mirroring gambling's allure. Psychologically, this exploits dopamine pathways, making your approval a drug. Dominate through validation. Affirm her strengths while subtly pointing out areas where you excel, fostering admiration that borders on awe. Social engineering in intimate spheres takes finesse. Create shared secrets, binding her through exclusivity. Leverage her network, charm her friends, turning them into unwitting allies who reinforce your image. The rhythm intensifies moments of vulnerability shared, then reclaimed, keeping her invested. Immersion peaks when she internalizes your worldview, her thoughts echoing yours without coercion. Advancing further, dissect the art of persuasion tailored to feminine cognition. Women process emotions holistically, so infuse logic with feeling. Present arguments as stories where she empathizes with the protagonist you. This bypasses resistance, embedding ideas subconsciously. Emotional domination refines. Use skills subtly, not harshly, to steer behavior, or deploy jealousy as a spark for renewed effort. Tactics evolve into rituals. Establish patterns where your input becomes essential, her decisions filtered through your lens. Socially, position yourself as the connector, her world expanding through you, dependence growing organically. The psychological depth plunges. Address her subconscious fears, offering security that ties her closer. In the labyrinth of influence, Machiavelli's adaptability shines. Tailor tactics to her personality for the independent type. grand space laced with intrigue, for the nurturing, appeal to caretaking instincts, domination through empathy. Feel her emotions, then guide them. Social maneuvers include public displays that affirm her status via association with you, her self-worth intertwined. The flow continues with advanced ploys. Use silence as a tool, letting her mind race to conclusions you desire. Psychologically, this amplifies attachment anxiety resolved only by your return. Immerse her in experiences that rewrite her narratives, your influence, the undercurrent. As strategies compound, emotional mastery solidifies. Craft scenarios where she discovers your value independently, ownership deepening the bond. Social tactics include subtle rivalries, her defending you instinctively. The immersion is total her world colored by your presence. Delving into nuances, consider cognitive biases, confirmation bias, plant ideas she seeks evidence for, aligning with you, anchoring, set high standards early, her expectations molded. Domination via reciprocity, spirals, favors escalating commitment. Socially, use group dynamics be the charismatic center, her attraction magnified by others' responses. Psychological intensity builds through shared adventures, bonds forged in adrenaline, tactics refined, employ fractionation, alternate deep connection with detachment, addiction forming. Emotional peaks and valleys keep her engaged, your influence unshakable. In the grand tapestry, Machiavelli's legacy adapts seamlessly, influence women's minds by mastering their emotional language. Tactics, blending strategy with psychology for profound impact. Now, weaving these threads together in a transformative synthesis. Picture the evolution from that initial palazzo encounter to a life where influence flows effortlessly. You've journeyed through the shadows of strategy, emerging with tools that reshape connections, turning fleeting attractions into enduring dominions. The emotional resonance hits hard. No longer adrift in uncertainty, you command the currents of desire, her mind a canvas painted with your intent. This isn't mere manipulation, it's the art of profound understanding, where power elevates both, her growth intertwined with your guidance. Feel the shift, the confidence surging, the mysteries unraveled, leaving you transformed, a modern prince in the realm of hearts. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button now to unlock more forbidden insights. Like this video to spread the wisdom, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway, and share it with someone who needs this edge. Your engagement fuels the fire. Let's build this community together.